Hi, it's Dr. Saira. So I was getting ready, all ready to do my normal video, and I had a whole topic and everything prepared. And the day went on until finally it was time to record. And I realized I want to talk to you about something a little bit different than I had originally planned. I'm going to include kind of the topic that I wanted to talk about, which is the adaptation of controlling behaviors. So we'll get to that. But going a different route. So, because I don't just want to talk about a concept, I want to actually talk to you about real life. And there's something that's up for me right now in real life. And I feel like most of the people who watch these videos kind of have a relationship with this work that we're offering, what I've been kind of putting out in the world, and maybe even me. Maybe you feel like you have a bit of a relationship with me, and I kind of feel that too. Every week I sit down, I make a video, and I think about my viewer, the person who's watching, and I'm talking to you. And so I wanted to share something personal today about something that I'm going through. That's a little sensitive, and it's a little emotional for me. So I'm going to try my best to get through it. So about 6 months ago, I got the really clear direction to change everything in my practice. And that was really, it was really clear, but it was also really, really challenging, right? To just suddenly decide that this practice that I've been building for 17 years needs to basically kind of come to a close to open something that's going in a different direction. And so one of the symbols for that I've really been kind of struggling with and kind of like sensitive about is the logo, believe it or not. So for those who've been following for a while, you might have heard about Dragonfly Wellness Center. And I'm not sure I ever told the story about the dragonfly and what it means to me. But today's the day that I get to write up, like these little tasks that you think is no big deal. But today's the day that I get to write up the page that sends people to the new page, right? So dragonflywellnesscenter.com is no longer a page on the internet. If you look for it, you won't find anything. It'll go 404 error or something like that. And so that somebody pointed that out to me, and they're like, "Oh, if anybody's looking for you, like, where are they supposed to go?" So I have to write the text that's going to tell people that that's pretty much ended, and here's this new thing. And so to direct people to the new thing, and it's just like like. My husband, who's also my tech guru, he hates that word, by the way. Okay, I'll call it tech expert. He's like, okay, Saira, so you need to like type up these words and send it to me, and we're gonna make this the page, so the landing page. So when people go to dragonflywellnesscenter.ca, it'll get redirected, and so people know what's going on. Or if they go to drsaira.ca, it'll get redirected, and they'll know what's going on. So it's just a task I was assigned, just flippantly earlier yesterday. And I've been really, well, as you can see, there's a lot of emotion for me around this. And so back to the logos. So the dragonfly for me was a really, really significant symbol. And it was about, it actually came from a place of pain. I was shown a dragonfly in a spiritual experience that I had, kind of a vision that I had many, many years ago. Dragonfly was one of the animals that came to me as far as one of my healing animals. And that symbol became really, really important to my relationship with my brother and my sister, and the three of us in our connection with each other. And we actually got matching dragonfly tattoos for my brother's 35th birthday. And it was a celebration of him being 2 years sober at the time. And he hadn't been clean and sober probably for at least 2 decades before that. So he had spent a lot of his life, and yes, I got those numbers right. He's been using since he was in his early teens, and finally got sober at 33. And then, slipped and things happened and back and forth. And he's now sober as of the recording of this video. But at the time, what the dragonfly meant for us, for the three of us, was to see each other in the moment as we are. So not letting the past or the future get in the way of what was really right in front of us right now. So the tattoo was actually a gift to my brother to celebrate his 2 year sobriety. And I don't know if I've ever told that story publicly. People close to me know that, but I don't know if the world knows that was the symbol. And so it felt really, really powerful for me. So when you see, if you go to Dragonfly Wellness Center before, if you ever see the logo, it's a dragonfly, and it's, there's a certain art in the wings, and that same art is on my tattoo on my back and on my brother's chest and my sister's leg. So we share that tattoo. And so it really came from a place of trying to start fresh out of a real place of pain. And in July of 2024, it became really clear that I'm kind of complete in my work in the trauma trenches. So that really deep work of getting people out of crisis and into a place of wellness, that's kind of coming to a close. And so now the only people I'm working with are people who have already kind of moved through the process of therapy and have graduated through that. And maybe they'll come and check in with me one-on-one for a session as they need to. Those are my own clients. Those are the only clients I'm working with now. And moving forward, my work is going to be much more collaborative. The expansion project is about using the community and the group process for elevation and expansion, and actually the cutting edge of consciousness. So we're not just going from pain and suffering and illness to wellness. We're already at wellness, and now we're going from that into expansion. And so the logo has to change, and the vision has to change, and the colors had to change. And so all through the summer, I was going through this kind of grieving process of letting go of this old way of doing work, and this old messaging, right? About, you're suffering, but I can help you feel better. But now it's like, well, actually the people who are attracted to working with me now are not really suffering. They're actually doing really well, and some of them even thriving, but they're wanting to have now purpose and vision and an expanded life where they can actually have impact, right? Actually step into the life that they know they've been grooming themselves to live. And this has been my experience of stepping into that life that I know I've been being groomed by life for the last 44 years to step in and be this now. Yeah. But there's some sadness around letting go of that old logo and that old dragonfly and those colors and the old website. And so when this task came up about doing this website, it was like, oh, this huge wave of sadness came up. Now, what I would do in the past, and this is where the theme comes in of what I wanted to talk to you about today. What I would do in the past is I would get really, really stiff about it, and I'd get really, really controlling, and I would start pushing back against the discomfort that I was feeling by going into controlling behaviors. So, just a couple of years ago, I would have started like tidying up my office. Before I do anything else, I'm going to tidy up my office because, to get some feeling of control back, because these uncomfortable emotions are starting to come up. I would maybe get kind of snappy with my loved ones or my colleagues, or, well, not really my colleagues. I usually reserve the snappiness for my loved ones. So I would probably get a little snappy with my loved ones. This control would come up, right? And so that is the old way of coping. today in our community, so this new thing, so I talked about the old thing and the dragonfly and the logo. The new thing is the expansion project. And this may change because we're not really like locked in yet on our logo, but for now, what the logo is it kind of looks like a brain, but it also kind of looks like a tree or some sort of a plant or vine. So it's like a brain vine thing. And we chose this image because it really talks about what we're trying, like who we are now, right? Which is this growth and this expansion and this possibility and this potential, right? It's not about what the dragonfly stood for me about, just staying with the person in their pain and suffering as they are in the moment. If they're in a good moment, staying with them there. It's not about that kind of like that limited thing where we're just trying to get you okay. It's like we're okay and we're going to be even more okay, right? What was I telling you? Oh yeah, control. So this morning in the expansion project community, every Thursday morning this video is, so every Thursday morning in the expansion project community, we talked about these different adaptations. And so when we're really little, we're trying to stay alive. The brain is just trying to keep us alive. And so we developed these different coping strategies called adaptations around, we call them adaptations. They're called many, many things in literature. We call them adaptations. And they're ways of responding to an unsafe or unpredictable environment, right? And we kind of do that when we're little, and then we keep doing that even beyond the usefulness of that behavior. And so controlling behaviors is one of the 6 adaptations that we've identified. So, if you want to know more about adaptations and like that whole thing, we actually offer a course in our community called the Foundations of Consciousness course. And it's all laid out there around these different adaptations. But you'd have to like come into the community. So I'm not sales pitching here. I'm just letting you know there's more information for those who want to go seek it out. You can find it. But this piece around control is what I used to do. And it was my way of making the external environment manageable because my internal environment was so uncomfortable. And so we talked about this morning in the community was what's the silver lining in that adaptation? So we talked about a few adaptations, and controlling behavior was one of them. What's the silver lining? And the silver lining, so somebody who kind of goes to that controlling behavior, and that's kind of the thing that they do when they're under stress, the upside of that, or the thread in that, opportunity in that, is actually inspired action. Inspired action. So if I can let go of the ego run, like I got to do something because I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to be uncomfortable and this feels like crap, and I'm starting to identify with my body and my emotions. When I get out of that, when I let go of that and I get back into the present moment, and I get back into alignment, now I get to wait for inspired action. Inspired action. So when I got the task of write these few lines so we can put it on this, redirecting page, I was actually just about to write that before I sat down for this video. I was starting to do that. And then I got this really clear direction, like, no, make the video. Make the video first. Make the video about what you're going through. Don't just go out there and talk and be the expert on one more topic, but tell them about what you're going through. And so I'm here doing that because that was really an inspired direction I was given, is to be real today, like really, really real and unfiltered. And so that's it. And it's uncomfortable. Like this right now, this moment, not the most comfortable, right? I feel uncomfortable. And yet I know it's what's being asked of me to like show up really real and say, there's some changes happening. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this is happening in the new year, as many of us are stepping into a new path, a new direction. We talk about like New Year's resolutions. I'm not really a fan of those because it feels like one more thing to beat myself up about when I don't fulfill it, right? But for me, it's like, could I try doing the uncomfortable this year? Just a little bit. right? Just go a little bit out of my comfort zone, even with the mundane tasks of my day to day. And that controlling behavior then starts to slowly fall away because I'm not just trying to create my environment for safety all the time. Safety is not where we grow, my friends. Safety is not where we actually get to expand and get to thrive and get to be our biggest self. Safety is where we stay safe and we stay familiar and things stay predictable. And for some of us, you're living your best life and you're feeling okay with that, and safety is good because you don't want anything different. That's great, right? So there's some people who are there. For other people, it's like, I'm not actually happy where I'm at. I want more. I want bigger. So then we have to be uncomfortable to get there. One of the other things that's been on my mind around this transition from Dragonfly Wellness Center to the expansion project is the reach and the impact, right? So for 17 years, I've been kind of building up a following and making videos and sending out newsletters and kind of doing these different things so that people get some of this content and this information. And one of the silly little finicky things that happened was that our newsletter, because we've changed names and we've changed we've changed the whole direction, not just names, but even the vision. There's a requirement that people opt back into the newsletter, right? So we went from having 1,200 people on our mailing list, which to me, that's a huge number. I know to other like famous YouTubers and people out there, it's like a drop in the hat. But to me, this like mom and pop shop girl that like pulled this thing together on a shoestring, that was a big number for me. And then people didn't opt back in because, people missed those emails or whatever. And now we're back to 100 people on our mailing list. And it's like, oh. So in some ways feels like it's starting from scratch and starting really from new again. And that's it's a bit uncomfortable. Oh, by the way, if you want to add yourself to our newsletter, again, if you don't want to, just ignore what I'm going to say. If you think receiving our newsletter would be helpful for you and you're not already on the newsletter, you can go to theexpansionproject.com/newsletter. theexpansionproject.com/newsletter, and you'll be able to sign up for a newsletter. I think I'll put a link to that in the YouTube video description as well. Anyway, but it's been really, really uncomfortable. And I know this is the right next thing to do. I know it. We have some incredibly vibrant people that are showing up in our community and saying, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? How can I get involved? Do you need this? Do you need that? It's what we're doing is already changing the lives of the people in the community and their families. And we know that the impact is going to be huge. But it's been hard for me to make that turn. And so for those who have been watching these YouTube videos for a while, and maybe those who have been part of that Dragonfly community that have been watching this change and be like, where are we going? What are we doing? I went on the website. There's no website left. What's happening? I'm kind of figuring it out as I go too. And I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for your support, for watching these videos, for liking and commenting and all the things that you've been doing over the years. Or if this is the first video you're ever watching, this is usually not how it is. This is very different. So go and look at some of the other videos. It's less about me and more about ideas in psychology. But I really want to thank you for putting in your time and your interest and your energy into hearing what I have to say. And I'm hoping we'll have more videos of some of my co-founders, that they'll start showing up here and making videos as well. And there'll be more of that, more different voices and faces, and that's a change and it's uncomfortable. So that's my thought for the day, and not the usual video, but it felt like it really, really needed to be spoken and said, and I really appreciate you listening till the end. If you're interested in seeing what we're doing in the Expansion Project community, check out theexpansionproject.com. I think that'll come up at the end of this video. And that website is a work in progress. It's not perfect. We are not marketing gurus. Oh geez, not that word. Marketing experts. We're just kind of, doing it with what we know, and we're getting more people on board who have that professional expertise and things like that. But so it might not look today how it's going to look in a week or two or a month. But check us out, at least what we've got out there, and ask us any questions that you have, because if you're drawn in, we'd love to have you join us. That's it for me, and I will see you next week for next week's video. Bye.